Let's welcome back Zac Jackson from a
Sheets. I love Sheets too. Let's go. Sheets got the best Philly cheesesteaks, bro. The mozzarella sticks. This is Diaries of a Fat Kid right here. But yeah, shout out to Sheets.
Nothing like a good Sheets, man. It is the best. Zach, what did you get for a snack at Sheets, or did you not get anything?
Yeah, I just came in, so I wanted to be the first one to ever be on this show from Sheets in State College, Pennsylvania, and I have accomplished that. So here we are.
The shot looks great, by the way. The lighting's actually perfect. We should have more remote hits from Sheets locations in State College, Pennsylvania.
I love all these people that are walking into Sheets. There was one guy who turned around to look. He's like, "What is going on here?"
Zach, he's got a take on the Browns quarterback situation. He told me.
Right, everybody does. By the way, have you anything interesting going on like at Penn State that's of note for Browns fans?
Yeah, so I was here to see Drew Aller throw.
Yeah,
okay.
He did. It ended about an hour ago. Campus-wide internet is out, so I'm just down the street. But he looks the part, right? In shorts and T-shirts has never been the issue. But we know the story. Medina kid, highly touted recruit. His sophomore and junior years were outstanding, and then nothing went according to plan. His plan, anybody's plan, his senior year, he had a fractured ankle. The coach got fired. A team that seemed to be a lock for the college football playoff crashed, and I think in a way Drew Eller's draft stock crashed, and it's because he, just never won the big game. He never took that next leap. But it's all there, and in this quarterback class, man, every guy that's got a little bit of something there is getting a second and third look. So he's healthy. He threw at the combine. He threw today. He's got private workouts and meetings lined up. Now, he did not specifically say that the Browns are one of them, but I'm sure there are because he's from Medina. He would not even count against the 30 who can come in the building, so I'm sure he's in the plans. He's going to go in the fourth round probably with a chance to go in the third. So he's full clearance, and today was a part of a big 3-week stretch where he's got to convince one franchise. He's trying to convince multiple, but he's got to convince one that he can be part of a long-term solution.
Did you get a chance to see the guard? I can't. Is it Loani?
Vega Ione.
Venga Iowane.
That's a great name.
Yeah, I would have never got that correct.
Yeah, I did see him, and he looks like an NFL guard. He looks like one of those guys that's already been in the league for 5 years. He's like 6'2", 320, and tree trunks for legs. So he was there. They're all there. He and Drew just did the position workouts. The Ravens offensive line coach was there to see Iowane. A lot of people are targeting, that as a landing spot now that they're back in the first round. Not that the Max Crosby thing didn't happen, but Drew Eller's the star of the show. Now, I thought it was semi-notable that there weren't a lot of quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, GMs here to see Drew Aller. Now, in a way, they know who he is and what he's about. It's just when is somebody going to take the chance? And he's got to win them over, with the Zoom calls and the visits and the board work and say, hey, I know I'm a developmental guy, and can someone develop me and get something out of it down the road? And I think where the Browns are, right, Shedeur's got the runway to win the job. We know Watson's on the team because he has to be, and they could use another quarterback in that mix. I don't think it'll be Tai Simpson. So will it be second, third, fourth round? Will it be Aller at pick 70 or in the pick hundreds? I think it could be.
The Aller smoke around the Browns has been there for a couple of years. He's just a name that's sort of been floating in the ether as someone that they like. Did you see anyone that you recognize from the Browns there, and how many? I know you said you didn't see, there weren't a ton of quarterback coaches or OCs. How many were there? How many teams were there if you had a ballpark?
Yeah, every team was here for Penn State's Pro Day. Every team was represented. Now, the Browns had 3 scouts, not high level, not the quarterback coach or anything like that. So that's standard. The Browns have not been a big pro day team. I think last year in this whole journey, I think Stefanski went to 1 pro day. They do their own private workouts and they do their own meetings. They have their own way, like everything else, like the Cap. They have their own way of doing it, right? And they do it right, except they just don't ever win anything. So they did have a good draft class, and it does line up for mid-round quarterback. Hell, it even lines up for second-round quarterback, considering the number of veteran offensive linemen they either brought in or brought back. So I think a lot of things are on the table, and I think Aller has to be on any short list of guys they're considering. It goes Simpson, it goes Nussmeier, and then it's Aller, then it's Cole Payton, a 1-year kid from North Dakota State, and Taylon Green, who's a project who might get moved to tight end but could come in and run the ball. I mean, when you look at Aller, he's 6'5" and almost 230. He already looks bigger and stronger than last year. There's a lot to look at and work with here. And that's why he's going to get drafted despite, the end of his college career not going the way that he intended. That's why he's going to get drafted potentially on the second day.
Zach, we talked about some mock drafts before you joined us, and it could be left tackle, it could be a receiver. At this point, over a month out, where do you get the sense the Browns are leading with their first selection?
Yeah, I'm wrestling with it. I'm still going tackle over wide receiver at 6. I think the plan is to try to trade down. The pro day, and I'll be there too. I think the pro day everybody's watching is a week from today in Columbus, where all those Ohio State guys, Carnell Tate, and then all the defensive guys. Obviously, the ideal situation for the Browns would be some team is trading up, right, for Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles or David Bailey. The Browns move down. They can still take one of those offensive linemen or take Carnell Tate not at 6, add a pick maybe in the second round, and move on from there. So I think it's pretty clear that at 6 and 24 or wherever their 2 first-round picks end up being, that wide receiver and left tackle are probably where they're going. I don't think they're doubling up on offensive line, but I don't think it's totally out of the question. And then we're going to do some digging here at the owners' meetings and on the pro day circuit. What do they really think of Carnell Tate? And if it's not him, are they in on Lemon? Are they in on Concepcion, who had a knee scope? Are they in on Denzel Boston, the big outside receiver from Washington, who's probably going to go in that range? Jordan Tyson, whose brother plays for the Cavs, who's got a little bit of a hamstring injury. Might he be there at 24? Is he good enough to take at 6? That's what this is all about. So those are the names you see on the screen there that we're going to be talking about. And Carnell Tate's up next week in Ohio State's pro day, and Julian Sain will be throwing to him.
Zach, I know you said you don't think the Browns are going to take Tai Simpson in the first round. I think most people agree with that. But do you think anybody will take him in the first round? Do you think a second quarterback goes in the first round?
I do think for this reason, Bull. I think if you like him, you're either taking him, you're not waiting, or you're moving back into the first round because you get that fifth-year option on a quarterback that is a long-term discount if he hits. So now that the Rams are down to 1 first-round pick instead of 2, I'm not sure. But what are the Steelers going to do? What are the Jets going to do? Are they going to be one of the teams that trades back in? And where are the Browns? Is some other team looming? So Tai Simpson was really good to start last year. He only started 1 year of college. There's nothing about him physically that's outstanding. Very average size, very average athleticism, but he's the son of a coach. He waited his turn in the Alabama program, and when his time came, he was ready. So he's been very impressive, I know, from talking to people and in the in-person part of the process. His pro day is also next Wednesday. He also he visited Cleveland. He's taking the full tour of visits and Zoom calls and all of that. So, yeah, I feel pretty strongly that he will go in the first round. But is it 13? Is it 16? Is it 21, 24? Or is it someone trading in back at 30? I don't know, but I feel pretty strongly that he will.
Zach, I was listening to Earl and Spencer German on 92 through the Fan, and Earl has said, he thinks that they might take a developmental quarterback somewhere in this draft. In terms of the developmental piece, and one guy we've heard a lot about, but not really a lot about, is Dillon Gabriel. Like, we've heard either Browns are going to try to move on him or move away from him. Obviously, Deshaun Watson will probably not be here after this year. When it comes to a developmental quarterback, is that a position that you could see, that quarterback going against Dillon Gabriel or even possibly Shedeur Sanders? And where do you think the Browns will have the stomach to go after, like in terms of how high they would possibly look at a developmental quarterback?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that, Garrett. I don't think Dillon Gabriel's a developmental quarterback, and I think even going back, the best thing they ever said about him is, boy, he started a lot of games in college, right? Like, he quite clearly is not an NFL starter. He does not have the size or the ability. I don't think he'll be on the roster for the dynamics. I just don't think the opportunity to move him has come up yet. So that's just my gut feel, but that's how I look at it. A lot of people would say that the developmental quarterback in the NFL is a myth, because even the first rounders who they think are going to make it play right away. And, once you get out of training camp, once you get out of the preseason, you're focused on winning the game. You guys aren't getting opportunities. I think the Browns had a little bit different approach last year where they tried to develop those guys. They knew they had a unique situation with 4 quarterbacks and then with 2 rookies even when the season started. But those guys were never getting the proper reps. And now, the plug got pulled on that coaching staff, so they're kind of starting back from zero. The thought for this Browns team right now makes sense, because the Browns, it looks like, are going to let Shedeur ride and hope that it hits, or they're going to play for next year, and they're going to have another high pick, and they might maneuver and try to get a second first-round pick next year. This number 24 pick they got this year was earmarked for a quarterback. So that's why I'm not totally closing the door on the Tai Simpson thing. But I do think right now, when you look at it, what has gone on and how it shapes up, it's like, let Shedeur go, see if he can be that. He was always the most direct ticket out of this Watson hell. And if it doesn't work, you're right back in next year, because the one thing this front office continues to do is push things to the future and position themselves for the future. They are clearly not pressed to win, right? And they are signing guys with void years through 2032 right now. So we'll see what happens, but it looks to me like it'll be Shedeur, Watson, and then some sort of developmental quarterback, unless it's Tai Simpson, in which case he will be competing for the starting job.